morning, and thank you for joining us once again. My name is Al Westerman. I'm the youth pastor at Living Hope Church, and I am so thrilled that you have joined us as together we're going through the book of 1 Corinthians. Last week we were in 1 Corinthians 10. We were looking at temptation and what is the root, what is the source of temptation, and effectively putting anything in God's place. Now remember, Jesus was tempted just as the same way that we are, but he did not miss the mark. And also the famous verse in 1 Corinthians 10 is that God will provide a way out. God will provide, he will show you another way to take. We can think about the story of Abraham in that. I can look at my own life and see times where temptation was about to overcome me, but then God gave me a second way. He gave me an option to redeem my circumstances, and I'm extremely grateful for that. Now today we're looking at 1 Corinthians 11, fantastic chapter. I'm only going to be looking at the first half of the chapter today, talking about propriety in worship. Now before we read this, I would love it if you could read the chapter first. I hope that you read it and you get your own revelation from God. When you do, put it in the chat. I would love that. And so what I think of when I read this is I'm reminded of a story in Christian history. Now, Christianity has a pretty wild past. There have been all sorts of terrible and ridiculous things happen, but the church still prevails, right? So one of these things that I think is just so foolish is a church split that happened some time ago. Now, this specific denomination could not reconcile something. They couldn't. The difference was just too stark, too extreme. There was no way of getting past it. They wanted women to wear doilies. They all agreed on that. But like those little prayer hats, but they could not decide if they were going to be white or black. This mattered a lot, so much that the church actually split over it. And I want to be careful when I say this, because Paul talks about the practices that a man shouldn't have long hair, or a woman's hair is her covering. Men shouldn't wear a covering over their head while they're praying. I want to be careful because I personally don't feel like it matters. I think he gives us a bit of leeway when he says that we can judge for ourselves if it's right. I don't really think it matters. And the reason why is I believe the position of our heart matters so much more than what's sitting on top of our head or not. I feel like a woman doesn't have to wear a head covering while she's praying, or my mother who has short hair doesn't have to all of a sudden have long hair or she can't pray. I think the position of our hearts is what really matters. That said, and we're kind of likening back to 1 Corinthians 6 when we talked about this a little while ago, why not rather be wronged? Why not rather just set your own preferences aside? Do I believe that wearing a hat or not wearing a hat or a head covering during prayer matters? No. If I'm wearing a hat and I'm going to pray in a group, am I taking my hat off? Yes, because it means something to other people. And now I would never really give up meat, but Paul talks about this meat sacrificed to idols. He says, if eating meat causes my brother to sin, I'll never eat meat again. I don't know if I could do that, but the concept I'm with. I don't want someone else to stumble because of some knowledge that I possess. I don't want someone else to think ill of me or whatever. Now, why not rather be wronged? Why not just rather be in the wrong and just accept it and let this stuff go, not have disputes, and just get along? Now, we're talking about a minor issue such as wearing hats in worship. I want to recognize that this goes so far beyond that. I've talked about this a lot. What can we focus on? Let's focus on unity. Let's focus on what unites us. Hats, no hats, really doesn't matter. Let's proclaim the gospel. Let's proclaim that we worship a risen Savior, that he is in the business of not making bad people good. He is in the business of making dead people alive. This is the Jesus we serve. He is bringing life to us. We are constantly being renewed. He is allowing us access to heaven, access with the Father while here on earth. This is amazing stuff. Let's focus on the things that unite us. Let's not be sidetracked by these little silly things like our preferences. And we can go into a long list of what our preferences is, especially during the age of this pandemic. I don't want to go there. Let's focus on what unites us. Let's focus on the gospel. Let's focus on being united together and bringing people into the kingdom of heaven.